Hey, Dan, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thanks.
Dan, how long does it take? I was just asking our fans, how long does it take to recover from a loss? And it's obviously an opening game loss. It's a division opponent. It was on the road. How long does it take for you to put that one behind you and move on to the next game emotionally?
I'd say probably 24 hours. A good 24 hours it's still there, but you got to start putting in work by the end of the next day. You have to start really grinding on tape. So once that happens, your mind's kind of cleared of it, because you got to move on to the next one and get it out of there. So I'd say a good 24 hours, and then you go, man. It's time to hit the ground running.
All right, so with that context, obviously you've watched the film, you've graded everything, and one of the things that we noticed, and I know it was talked about on the broadcast, was the inability to pressure the quarterback. If they're going to double team and triple team Hutch, which we saw, and I think we all expect, it's a matter of respect for what he can do, where do you expect to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks from?
Yeah, we'll have to get it from the interior, we'll have to get it from our backers, and we'll have to get it from the other side. And, I mentioned this yesterday. We did have we had a few guys that had some one-on-ones, and they got to win those, And now, that being said, we got to do a better job on the back end, too. I mean, it all goes hand in hand. Rush and coverage always go hand in hand. So we're going to adapt. We'll switch some things up. And look, we switched them up in the second half, too. And though we didn't get a sack, we did get some pressures, and we got off the field. So I thought we settled down and started making some plays.
Looked like Green Bay was able to pick up some of the blitzes that you guys did bring. I want to go back. A week ago, I asked you about Za'Darius, and you said that you were good with those guys. There's a lot of fans who are looking at it and going, can those guys win one-on-one consistently enough? What would you say to those fans who think it's a bigger deal than you've alluded to?
I do believe we have the guys that can win one-on-ones, and there's different ways to win. Certainly everybody would love to see the speed ball off the edge and nobody can touch him. But those guys are, that's a rarity when you can find one of those guys. But then it's the guys like these guys that can push the middle of the pocket, man. You can get an edge and you can open it up and you can drive it right back into the quarterback's lap. So there's different ways to apply pressure on the cue. And the bottom line is you just got to make him uncomfortable. If we can make him uncomfortable, get in his lap here a little bit, then normally good things will happen when you can do that. So, but it requires everybody doing their job, and you got to get there with urgency.
You mentioned after the game that a lot of the things that happen in the game are correctable, that the mistakes that happened are correct, whether it was missed assignments or it's winning one-on-one matchups. Going into the Bears game, what's the number one thing that needs to be corrected so that you just play better on Sunday?
Communication. It's that simple. That's number one. Number two is fundamentals, man. Get back to the basics of what you do. Your freaking stance, your alignment, your first step, your hands, all of it. Man, my hips. It really is just the simple 101 basic football stuff. We do those two things, and we're going to be immensely better.
It would feel like that would pay dividends in the run game most, right? I think that surprised people that you guys weren't able to get more of a ground attack going. How big of an emphasis is that specifically for this week?
Well, the emphasis is if we're going to invest in over 20 carries like we did the other day, we cannot have 2.1 yards. So, yeah, there's going to be an emphasis, and it doesn't mean we're going to the ground. It just means when we do go to the ground, it can't be for 2 yards, all right? And every one of our guys are hot about that, and it's on all of us, man. It's on us as coaches. And those guys, nobody feels it worse than they do. So we will improve that area, which in turn will improve everything.
How much that communication, and you and I have both played in environments where you could be screaming and no one's going to hear. Some young guys on the offensive line, how much of that communication has to be the nonverbal communication, being able to do that when you can't communicate verbally?
Well, that's always going to help, as you know. The guys that, when you played with each other long enough, you don't have to do all that. And that's when you're running at a high level. I mean, that's what we've had around here. We've been fortunate, when we had Frank and all those guys here, Decker and Sewell, and they played together long enough that they understand. And so, look, man, that just takes time. And it takes time, live reps, real bullets, on the road, can't hear, all of that, to where, man, you're working in unison together and you're starting to figure each other out, in real football games. So it'll take a little bit, but we're going to get there, man. These guys will grow, and as bad as it hurts, you're only going to grow from this. There's nowhere to go but up, and these guys are going to get better. There's going to be banked reps here now, and we just got to find a way to win and develop and grow at the same time. That's the important thing, and then clean it up and get a little bit better as we move along.
Talking to Lions head coach Dan Campbell, one of the things that John and I have talked about, and calls bring it up too, is how much is the preseason, not playing some of these offensive linemen in the preseason, part of a slow start? Is that a fair question to ask? Maybe you should play more of those guys in the preseason to have a quicker start to the season?
So play all the starters? Is that what you're...
No, we're talking like the young guys, like Mahogany or Ratlich or some of these guys that maybe haven't played a lot. Was there a consideration to playing them more in the preseason?
No, I got you. Well, I would say this. With those two guys, yeah, we could have played them a little bit more. But there again, you're not playing against their starters. That's why I like the joint practices. Now, just to get in the flow of a game, yeah, probably. It's not like more reps isn't going to hurt them. It's going to help them. So, yeah, certainly we could have played them a little bit more.
They're looking ahead to the Bears game. There's a certain amount of familiarity between the coaching staff, and whether it's Dennis Allen defensively, I know you guys are familiar with him, obviously Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator and head coach. How does that familiarity play into your game plan, and how does it affect the game plan?
You know what? It doesn't, believe it or not, because they're going to go back to what they believe is going to give them the best chance to win, just like we are. And you got to go back to the basics, man. And it's about what you do. You come out of games like really both of us just did. Let's get back to what we do, what they do, and find a way to move the football, stop it on defense, and and then come out on the other side better than you were. So I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue. Now, are we going to have to play that game a little bit? Yeah, we are. Of course we are. But I think the most important thing is to focus on yourself. Especially early in the season like we are, game 2. We just got to get better.
Yeah, Dan, I think it's funny when people pit you against Ben Johnson, and you said yesterday, like, that's my friend, but clearly there's going to be this we want to beat this guy mentality from the fans when he comes to town this week. Is there any extra fuel for you guys to make that statement? Especially, you don't pay attention to this, but the narrative of, well, the offense isn't the same without Ben Johnson. Does that put more fuel into this game?
No, you know where my fuel is? I want to win. That's my fuel. That'll always be my fuel. I hate losing, and I don't want to lose. I want to win. All our guys do. We got a lot of prideful guys that have put a lot of work into all this, prideful coaches, hard working, grinding, and so that's what fuels me. That's what motivates me. I want to win.
What did you make? Did you watch last night, or have you had a chance to dive into their first game? What did you make of week 1 for Ben Johnson?
I did. I watched it. Man, I thought they came out, man, slugging. They were. I thought they were on fire, man. And those two teams duked it out. I thought that both teams played fast. Man, they looked fast and were aggressive and physical. Looked pretty explosive and. Man, they came out hot, and then like any game, it just, you get into the late in the game and it goes back and forth and a couple plays here, a couple plays there, and it just swings the other way. So, but that's our league, man. That's no different than our game the other day. If we can find a way to score right before halftime, that could be a totally different game. And, but we didn't do it. That's the league. You got to make those plays. And that's why this game's so freaking great.
He's Lions head coach Dan Campbell. We appreciate your time, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, have a good one.
It's 97.1.